Adrian Pellegrini is considered one of the best Cuban painters of the abstraction line. He's a published author and also plays violin. His paintings are well known internationally and sold in galleries like Sotheby's, New York. Even though he's a world-famous painter, he always comes back to his house in Cuba.
So, Adrian, this house, I've known it means a lot to you.
Yes.
Because you've lived here since you were a boy? That's right?
Yes, a little bit. I was mostly raised here by my grandmother, while my mother was always traveling, you know. So it means something very special to me.
You work here, right?
I used to work here, yes, here in Havana, yes.
And now, for example, what are you working on? Are you preparing something?
Well, yes, I am preparing my next step, which will be travel to Venice, Italy, where I'm going to have a presentation of my next book of art with the introduction and study by Franco Piccoli, who is a co-curator of the Venezia Biennale. So it's going to be very exciting to me, this opportunity.
But even though you illustrate books, you have very complicated work, like big paintings and all that. I would like to see that.
I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Adrian, this is where you work, and I've been surprised by the fact that you use a lot of ways of expressions. For example, painting, you're a painter, but also you play violin, you write poems. Why did you, even though you have so many skills, why did you decide to paint?
Well, you know, the original reason, I can't figure out exactly why, but I chose to paint when I was 4 years old because I thought that painting, it's a mix of old kind of things and issues that are inside the art. For example, and I will put you an example, you have the rhythm, you have the music on the canvas surface, you also have the module, the proportion and the symmetry. So if you study the structure of the music, you can find onto that structure the same kind of symmetry that you can find on the visual arts.
You've had a lot of moments in your work, Adrian. You can see like an evolution, not only in your technique, but also in the way you want to express your message. And now it's like an abstract painting in which you probably you don't see clearly sometimes the shapes, sometimes you can. And it could be considered like you've been a pioneer. You've had a pioneering technique in this way, and here in Cuba, you are considered like one of the best. Why do you think your work is different? It could be considered like this, like one of the best. Please don't be modest. Tell us a little bit so we can go and see Adrian's work, knowing that it's a good work.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm one of the best, but what I can tell you is if my work looks different, it's basically because my experience of life has been different. I think that the experience of the travels can help a lot a person to become truthful and to have some wisdom and to develop some wisdom of life. And that obviously creates an influence and a balance on the result you have in your art, and that can be seen on the general result. It's people say that my art is different, that is different, especially because my opinion, my humble opinion, is that those times we are living right now, the people, they don't really go into the details a lot. They choose to do things more simple, and they choose to do the things more quickly and more easy. So things those days became more like a gross mode. I mean, it's because it's not, in my opinion, enough well done, enough well finished. So the fact that I can combine the abstraction and the instantaneous feeling of abstraction with certain amount of detail, it's what people consider it a goal and an achievement, because you know it's not common.
No, and it's very complex. When you see one of your works, of abstraction. I can see that. And that leads me to a question. Adrian, there are people that think that probably this kind of work is restricted to an elite around the world. I mean, people is not a popular art, is not consumed by a lot of people, and it should be consumed by a small group of people, intellectuals, and with this kind of habits of consuming this complicated art, even though it's visual art and everybody can see it. What do you think about this? Do you think this kind of poetry, visual poetry, is restricted to people with higher intellectual skills? What do you think about it?
Not at all. The abstraction reflects a lot the way the life works today. Because of the technology base, because of the speed and the movement of the modern life. If something that you do is inspirational, it can be inspirational for everybody. It doesn't matter if you are an intellectual, an elite. I don't think, and I don't believe in art for the elites. I believe that the art is oneself, and it's made for everybody. It's a patrimony of the humanity.
I have another question, Adrian. You travel a lot. You've lived in a lot of places, but you're very acquainted of everything in the plastic and the painting world. How would you describe the health of the plastic arts here in Cuba?
In one hand, you have a lot of talent and a lot of people with a good academic instruction and with an academic education, and with talent. It's an island with talent, there's no doubt. In the other hand, you have a place which, in my opinion, has been a little bit closed for a while. So it's difficult sometimes to see the actual contemporaneity of the art here, and it's sometimes difficult to, sometimes, in my opinion, it's too much the same. What we have here is a good future. We can have a good future in the arts. We can really become a very important art centers in the Americas in the next 1 or 2 decades, and we have wood for that.
Even though you're traveling all the time, and you've have yourself this kind of abroad experiences that helps you to be the painter you are, you always come back to Cuba.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I feel here comfortable, and I have here some family that I really appreciate and that I really need to see often. And also because Cuba, for me, it's an inspirational place to paint or to write, even to travel. I like to go here to the countryside, and I like to go here to the mountains, and it's a very magic place. I will always come back, even in my afterlife.
That's good. Thank you very much, Adrian.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.